welcome to our channel, Those Twins Who Knit. My name's Rachel.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is our space where we like to share all the things that we've been up to, mostly knitting-wise. And today's going to be entirely knitting. Sometimes we share sewing and other things that we get up to.
I think this month, I think it's been a month since we last posted. And then this month, we have a ton of whips. So not too many finished objects, but I know I've cast on a lot recently. So we definitely have a lot to catch up on.
I'll start with what I'm wearing today, which is the Copenhagen cardigan by PetiteKnit. And I knit it in 2 strands held double of the Wandering Flock Mohair in the color Sky Blue. And I put this as a finished object last time we did a podcast, but it kind of feels more finished this time because it hadn't been blocked and it didn't have buttons. And I didn't even try it on or anything. I just kind of held it up. So I feel like even though it was a finished object last time, that this is still a finished object. This pattern is very easy, I think very beginner friendly. It has you start at the ribbing for the collar and then goes immediately into raglan stitches for the cardigan shaping. But in addition, you work all of the button band stitches at the same time. Like it's not something that you have to go back and pick up later. So it's not like a cardigan where there's all these additional steps of having to go back and do other things like the button band and collar. You really just work all of it at the same time. So once you're done knitting it, you're like completely done other than adding buttons.
Which is really nice knitting for like a knitting experience, but it is tricky if you need to lengthen or shorten it.
Yes. And in fact, I've had bad experiences with that before, particularly with the Traveler cardigan by Ozetta. I think that pattern is so wonderful, but I did have a gauge issue where it got too long. So I was a little nervous for this one, but I think it's perfect. I really like the length. It's like a tiny bit cropped, but not too short for me. And last time I had showed where I bought these little blue buttons for this cardigan. And to me, this is blue, but it does have like a little purple. It's almost like a periwinkle color. So the blue buttons that I had, I ultimately decided, even though I said last time, I was like, I think I like them. I was like, actually, I don't think I do. And a lot of people had commented and said that mother of pearl buttons might be pretty. So I went and got, I wonder if I can come kind of close. I went and got some little mother of pearl. They're kind of shimmery, iridescent. And I think that they just work so well for this cardigan. So I really, really like it. I actually was cracking up because I wore this cardigan to work recently. And it is not a normal experience for me for middle school kids to be like touchy. Like they're not super into hugs at that age and stuff, which I'm totally okay with. But I have never had so many kids that were like, I just want to touch your sweater. I thought that was so funny. I had a kid come up to me and was like, what is that? I was like, it's mohair. But I was just like, oh, it's so soft. I have really enjoyed the sweater. I've already started wearing it a little bit. And I have to say, Jessica sent me an inspiration picture of somebody wearing a similar sweater, which just really like sent me over the edge. I really like the color. I really like the fuzziness and how easy the pattern was. So no complaints. I think it was wonderful.
There's something in my eye. Yeah, you do.
It's like a little fuzzy.
Oh, I see it.
Probably like a mohair strand.
Yeah, I had your sweater in my eye.
No, it couldn't be me.
I'm also wearing a finished object today. So this is my Svenson pullover by Jared Flood. And I use the Newbough Yarn Co.'s Hudson DK base in the colorway Old Town Canoe. And so I just love this color. It's like a beautiful like Kelly green. And it was so fun to work with. It is a merino base or a superwash merino base. And so I don't usually work with superwash. And that was quite an experiment because when I was knitting the pieces, they looked teeny tiny and then they grew so much while blocking. So this was definitely one of those projects where I had to do a swatch and then trust the process as I was knitting it. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. This pattern has 2 different like variations. If you go on Ravelry and look for it, there's like a traditional version and then there's a shaped version. And I think the traditional is more just straight up and down versus the shaped has some increases when you're knitting the body because the body is knit bottom up and then it's also knit flat in pieces and then you seam it. And the way that I seamed mine was first I did all of the raglans and then I went back and seamed the body and then the sleeves. I don't know, that was just my preferred method of construction, and I wanted to start with the raglan so that I could at least sew up all of the raglan pieces and then pick up stitches to knit the collar. And the pattern does have you knit the collar just like picking up stitches, knitting in this like twisted, half twisted rib pattern for a specific amount and then do a tubular cast off. But I've been really liking the like folded over collar lately. So I knit to the recommended length and then I did 3 rows of double knitting, just where you knit a stitch and then move your yarn in front of the needle to purl and then move it back in order to continue knitting. I did 3 rows like that and then I knit the same amount down so that way I could like tack it down and have this be a folded collar. And I'm really happy with that modification. I think it looks really good.
I love the folded collar on that. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks like a modification at all.
I don't even know if this really counts as a modification. It's just like the one thing that I changed that's a little bit different than what the pattern recommended, but I don't think it makes like a significant difference. As far as like all the pieces go and measurements and everything like that, I left that exactly the same. Like I didn't make any changes. And then I think the one thing that I'm going to do after this podcast is sew up some of these stitches a little bit better. This isn't, basically I'm getting some gapping between some of my cables and the purl stitches.
You might show that like a little.
Yeah, I'll show that, see if you can see that a little bit better. I'm just getting some gapping where the shoulder pieces are. And this isn't on a seam because the seam is actually hidden inside this like raglan cable. So it's like a little bit off to the side of where the seam would be. Like this is part of where I was like actually knitting the pieces. And I think I just didn't pull tight enough when I was moving from like a knit stitch to a purl stitch for whatever reason. But I think I'm going to go and just like sew that up on the wrong side so it looks a little bit nicer. But that's the only thing left to do. I'm not too upset about it. And I have worn this sweater out and about a few times now already. And it's not the end of the world. It doesn't really bother me that much. But I just think it would look slightly nicer if I did that.
I feel like for the amount of work that you put into it, you should be like 100%. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Just go back and do that one little thing.
Yeah. I do love this pattern though. This is the second time that I've made it. I've made this same sweater in white several years ago, and I love that one and wear it all the time. So it's nice to have another color. And this pattern is so fun to knit since it's pieces. It just feels like it goes so fast. Like, I feel like I'm so used to knitting like a body in the round where you're going around and you're knitting both the front and the back at the same time. So then the rows are really long. But for knitting the body, when I was going back and forth, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm flying. Like I feel like I'm making so much progress really fast because it's like half the number of stitches of what I would usually have for a DK weight sweater. So that was kind of fun. Although I will say seaming is not my favorite thing in the world. So that wasn't the greatest, but I don't hate it. I'll do it.
I can't even remember the last time I seamed a garment. I know I used to.
I feel like when we started knitting sweaters, we used to seam garments all the time. And now
we didn't know there was like another option, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like the patterns that we picked up all had that. And we were like, that's just what it is.
That's just how it is. And I feel like most like patterns that are popular right now don't have that.
And once you realize how easy non-seamed ones are,
it's hard
to go back and be like, oh, now I want to seam something.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly what makes me pause sometimes is I'm like, oh, if 2 patterns are similar, but one has seaming and one doesn't, like.
I do think the seaming adds some structure to your piece though, so it won't stretch as much over time, which is nice, especially for a superwash like this where I'm like, I could see it growing, but we'll see.
I'll go ahead and share the other finished object that we have. I think this is the only other finished object we have for the podcast today, but I finished my Lumme socks by Sari Nordlund, which have this, I think, very beautiful color work. And then it continues onto the toe. So you can see the little color work motif comes back in at the bottom. And I knit these using Explore Knits and Fibers Trailhead colorway in their Denali sock base. And then the contrast color, the blue, is the Coast to Coast sock, classic sock in the color K Sarah Sarah, which is something that I had left over from another pair of socks that I did at one point. And I bought the Explore Knits and Fibers Trailhead at Flock. Actually,
all
we
of our
didn't
projects
mention.
are from Flock now that you say
so
that.
I bought this at Flock,
I bought this at Flock.
and then look at us knitting up our.
We're doing so good, actually, like using what we're purchasing, sort of.
But we'll count it. This feels successful.
Yeah, this feels good.
I actually haven't blocked these yet, just because I feel like sometimes yarns that have more reddish color, not that this is red, but it has like kind of a purpley maroon burgundy to it. I get nervous about those colors, especially like bleeding. And with the color work, I was a little bit nervous. So I did a little bit of steam blocking, but I haven't fully submerged it in water. And I keep saying that I'm going to do a little swatch before I do that, but then I just don't, because I don't enjoy swatching for socks, and now they're done. So it's like, it feels especially redundant, not necessary. But honestly, because they're socks, I don't know if I really need to block them too much. Normally I do.
I mean, when you wear them the first time and need to wash them, like,
yeah, we'll find out.
You know, at that point, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I don't know that it will bleed. I think I'm just nervous about it. So I haven't yet, and may not. But yeah, you're right. I will have to get them wet eventually. So we will see. I guess I'll have to update if anything happens to them. But I think that's probably more in my head than anything. I don't think that there really would be an issue too much, but I don't know. I'm not a huge color work person, so I don't keep like color catchers a lot of the time.
Oh, I have some. You can borrow them.
Okay, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yes, that could work. Yeah, I don't know.
Usually if I'm nervous though, I'll soak the yarn that I'm worried about bleeding in vinegar before I use it, which is a little too late now, but
it's fine.
That's what I've started doing, and it seems to be working.
They're socks at the end of the day. It's not the end of the world, but I will say they took longer than normal socks just because there was a lot of color work in this, but I think they turned out really pretty. I really like this like maroon color with blue right now. I see that a lot, and I really love this color combination. So I thought they turned out really cute. They were really fun to knit. Took a while compared to most socks, but that's okay. They're done. And that's the only other finished object that we have today. I think everything else is works in progress.
Moving on to whips, I think we'll both talk about our next projects a little bit together because they're both our Christmas sweaters for this year, and they're both by Augustins DK, and I think they're both part of the Northern Augustins collection. So mine is Northern Augustins number 4, and then yours is Northern Augustins 6?
I believe so.
Yes. So these are gonna be our Christmas sweaters. I feel like mine looks like a clown sweater right now, and yours is all like cute and cozy and actually Christmas vibes.
I'm just shocked because last weekend you hadn't even gotten the yarn yet, and now you're almost to the same place as me, and I feel like I've had this on the needles forever. Well, that's okay.
That's okay. This one uses knitting for Olive Heavy Merino held together with mohair, and so I feel like the gauge is really big compared to what I like use for a lot of sweaters. Like I would say this is probably like an Aran gauge. I'm using size US 10 needles, which I feel like is really big compared to what I typically use. And the sweater itself is going to have these cute little like scallops that I think look like a Christmas tree skirt, and then little bows that go along underneath them. So I think it's going to be really cute for Christmas. It's just like right now I'm at a place where it doesn't obviously look like anything, but I'm very, very close to being able to like do the bottom of the scallop. So hopefully soon it'll start to take shape. Going back to the yarn that I used, I did want to use the exact same colors as what the designer used in her sample photos. So I ended up just going like back through her Instagram and found the color combinations that she used. And so I'm using pomegranate in the red for both the heavy merino and for the mohair. And then the base color is actually 2 different colorways. So the heavy merino is in the colorway powder, and then the soft silk mohair is in the colorway Mushroom Rose. So they're slightly different, but they look really similar. Like if I saw those in store, I would just assume that those kind of go together.
I think they look very similar.
Yeah. So far, I'm really happy with it. I think it's really cute. I think it looks, like the sample, which is what I wanted. I have made another collar modification because I guess I'm just like on that kick right now. The pattern calls for you to do a much longer portion of the collar. Like the collar is supposed to be a little bit taller than this, but I was a little bit nervous about it getting too tall. And then I also, whenever I folded it over to do the double collar, I did a couple rows of that double knitting as well, just to help it lay a little bit flatter. So hopefully that helps. I don't know. I just got nervous about it, so I thought it might be good. I think if it was a thinner gauge, I wouldn't really be too concerned, but with this being so bulky, I didn't want it to like look puffy. Does that make sense?
I think it looks really nice.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm happy with that. It's kind of, I don't want to go back and change it at this point, so I'm just hoping that it'll be okay. Sorry, I think my needles are like hitting your chair, so sorry if that was annoying for a second.
It's funny you mentioned modifying the collar because I was nervous about mine being too long. And Jessica knit this sweater last year for Christmas, and I've just been obsessed with it. So I'm really just copying the exact same thing she did, except for I was like, this collar's looking pretty long. Like, maybe I should shorten it. And I just kept going back to like, Jessica didn't modify it. Jessica would not have modified the pattern. So I just have to like go exactly, I'm going to trust it. And then I showed it to her last weekend and she was like, I'm pretty sure I shortened the collar. I was like, oh, wait. So now mine is a little bit long, but I think it's going to be fine still. And it's exactly how the pattern's written. So it's fine, I guess. But I was like, oh, I'm making mine to look just like yours. So now I don't think it's going to. But that's okay.
But now I'll have Olive telling them apart. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. I feel like this pattern just absolutely screams Christmas. I'll try to hold it up. When Jessica made it last year, everyone said that the main color kind of reminded them of gingerbread, which I'm obsessed with. And then it's got candy canes and holly and little presents and then little trees with snow, hearts, and then some bows and garland at the end. It's kind of rolling because I just finished the color work, but hopefully you can see that okay. And I redid this several times, which is probably why it feels like it's been on the needles longer than it probably has. When I first started it, I was using a US size 7 and I did the candy canes, and I think this was a me issue, not a needle issue, but the candy canes just looked very like scrunched in. Like I think I was just knitting it too tightly. And so I went back and, well, actually I waited for a little bit because I was procrastinating, but I eventually talked myself into frogging the candy canes and started those over. I was much happier with the tension. And then I knitted for a little bit. And then I think right about when I finished the presents, I went to a different size needle on accident. I picked up what I thought was another US size 7, and it was actually a US size 6. And then I knitted for...
Was the cord longer, and that's why you were like...
Yeah, it was growing to a point where I needed to shift needles. Actually, I'll share a little bit about that too in a second, because I've learned some stuff with that too. But at some point I shifted needles, and I went to a US size 6 without realizing that I did that. But then I realized after so many rows, and I liked the tension better. I liked the way the gauge, I liked the way that the 6 looked better. So then I called Jessica and I was like, do you remember if you used a 6 or 7? Because now I'm confused. And you said that you thought I was a size 6.
I'm pretty sure when I made mine, I knit it using a US size 6 needle, and then I made the second size.
Yeah.
Because I think my gauge was like ever so slightly small, and so I was worried if I knit the first size, it'd be too small. But I liked the tension on the 6 better.
So then I decided, and I didn't frog, which was risky. We took a risk, but I decided to just frog the entire thing and go back and redo the entire thing on a size 6. I didn't redo the collar. So the pattern recommends that you go 2 sizes down on the collar. If I was using a 6, I should have gone down to a US size 4, but I had done this on a 5 and I didn't want to redo the collar. So the collar is only 1 size down in tension or needle size. The rest I just did on a 6. But basically I've knit the candy canes 3 times. I've knit everything else almost twice because I think I was past the trees or had just finished the trees when I decided to redo all of it. So I've definitely knit this a couple of times, but I think it's going to be worth it just because I'm obsessed with how pretty the pattern is. I think that it's going to be a really beautiful kind of heirloom Christmas sweater, so I don't mind it too much. But it was a little disheartening to be like, oh, I have to do all this work again and frog and color work, especially when it's 2 strands of each color because I'm holding a merino and a mohair. And there are a couple rows in this pattern where, more than a couple, there's several parts where you're holding 3 colors per row.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. But we did it and we made it through, and I just finished the color work this morning. So now I am on just one color stockinette the rest of the way. It should go a little bit faster. And yeah, we've definitely learned some stuff there. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my experience with the needles just because this is really the first pattern I've tried this on. I'm sure this is not anything revolutionary, but for me, it was a learning experience. So because of the increases throughout the color work and wanting to keep my stitches from bunching up too much, I was increasing the amount of length on my needles every little bit. And I have a interchangeable Chiagu needle set, which these are expensive, but I have found, for me at least, are worth it. I really do like them. And Chiagu is always going to be my favorite needle brand. Oh my gosh,
I know, it's like covered in cat.
You can tell it's well loved. But at some point in my knitting, I don't know why or how this happened, but I had accidentally bought a pair of size 6 3-inch interchangeable needles, and all the rest of my set are 5-inch needles. So I don't know how I ended up with these at some point, but it was nice because I was able to, like, whenever I increased the needle size, I would put the 3-inch on and knit for a little bit, and then the next increase I would go to the 5-inch and it would gain another like 4 inches onto the needles, and then I would go up another cord and just kind of be able to increase in multiple ways that way. So I would get lots of different sizes and increase. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but I also went and got, because I lost mine along the way, a cord connector. And I feel like with having the cord connector and with having the 3-inch and the 5-inch, I was just able to get a whole range of different needle sizes. And I thought that was a great experience. I was like, oh, if I do more color work, I'm definitely going to invest in more of that because it just made it really easy to get the exact size cord that I need. And now that I'm on the stockinette, I'm not as worried about it, but it was really helpful, I feel like. So I'm sure people who do a lot of color work or are really fancy like that probably already know this stuff, but it was really nice for me. I enjoyed it.
I had to grab mine again because I think it's so funny that you took that approach with your knitting. With this sweater, I'm just using like a giant, it's all tangled now, but I'm using like a giant needle. Like there's so much extra, and I've just been doing like the traveling loop method.
Oh.
Like I just keep like pulling it out and moving it, and that's how
I think I would rather just change needle.
Really? I was lazy. I was like, I don't want to buy another like needle set for this thing.
Well, you don't have a needle set.
I don't have a needle set.
I do recommend you get this. So I'm not gonna lie. I think you would love it.
One day. But right now I only have like fixed needles, and I was like, I don't want to buy another fixed needles for this. So yeah, I'm just doing traveling. And I figure eventually when I do, I've got a few more increases left to do. So I think I'll get pretty close to using this whole thing by the time I
think you
have the whole yoke finished.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when I go back to the body, I'll be back in the same like traveling loop situation.
Okay, I'll give one more thing away about this. Don't judge me. Now I'm giving away all my secrets, all my shame. I said I didn't swatch for US 6 before I went on. I also caught some of my floats, but I didn't catch every single one every time I probably should have, because at this point when I was on to my second or third time for knitting all of them. I redid the candy canes 3 times. I knitted almost all of it up to the hearts twice. I was like, better done than perfect, but I really don't think it's too bad. If it was more
I feel
than
like these are so close to yeah, there's a
yeah,
few places you could probably catch it, but it's not like there's tons of spaces between
yeah.
each one.
If it was more than 7 stitches, I would catch it. But I think in a different scenario, I would have tried to catch if it was more than 5. I just couldn't do it at that point.
Usually 4 is my
You'll like if it has 5 stitches, you'll
yeah,
catch it. No,
yeah.
I can't be bothered.
Like I'll only try to go 4 stitches is like the longest. Yeah,
No.
yeah. So if it's got 5, I'll start alternating between like 2 or 3 stitches to like break it up for flat, like
I
catching the
don't think
float.
that's worth it. But that's just me. Really excited for it. I think it's very cute.
The next whip that I'll talk about is my Matcha jumper by Vertknit, and I'm using Coast to Coast Alpaca DK in the color Verdant, which I am super in love with. I just think it's so beautiful.
Once you added the collar, I was like, this is perfection.
Yes.
Before it was giving Shrek.
Yeah, it really was. But I think it's going to be really cute. It's a very simple stockinette pattern, but the way that she does the construction, Inez, the designer, is just really cool. It's got a saddle shoulder up here at the top, but it's knit in a way that you knit back and forth up until you join in the middle for this collar. And so I feel like when I've traditionally done other saddle shoulder patterns, you knit like a little square and then you pick up along that square to knit the back, and then you do the same thing in the front and it becomes almost like a drop shoulder, but you have like some live stitches here at the bottom. In this case though, it's a little bit different because the saddle shoulder is shaped along as you knit flat, and it's done by doing a bunch of increases along the body part in order to make it look like a drop shoulder. And then it almost becomes like a contiguous where after you've completed all of the shoulder increases here, then you start increasing for the sleeve up until you finish the yoke in order to have that shaping. So I think it's just a really beautiful construction. I have blocked the body because I was a little bit nervous. One, that the twisted ribbing down here at the bottom was a little bit too tight, and 2, that I didn't make it long enough for what I wanted. So I wanted to block it to see if it would grow a little bit in blocking, and it did. So I'm super happy with the length. I'm still just a little bit nervous. The twisted rib did not really stretch as much widthwise as I was hoping it would when I was blocking it. And to be honest, it's like a little wrinkly right now because after blocking it, once I picked up for like the collar and started working on the sleeves, like I've just been throwing it in my project bag and not really folding it nicely like I probably should. I might block it one more time, but I am a little tempted to redo the hem and just go up a needle size. So I knit the main body on a US 6, and then I believe the twisted rib was knit on a US 4. I almost feel like I should have just stayed with a US 6 to have it, because the twisted rib just gets so tight. And she does have you do a bunch of increases along the body before you do the hem to account for the fact that the hem is going to be tighter gauge than what the body is. But I still feel like I almost didn't do, like I should have done a few more increases, or I should have had a slightly larger needle size. Maybe a US 5 would be okay. Long story short, I think I'm going to finish the whole sweater, like sleeves and everything, and then block it one more time and see how I'm feeling about the rib before I make a decision. But I'm on the fence. I'm not sure if I want to redo it or not, because it just like, it does pucker a little bit at the bottom, and I just don't know how I feel about that.
Have you tried it on?
Yes, and it is cute on. And to be fair, I tuck everything in anyway, so like it's not like anyone will even really see the hem.
That's a hard
Like
one.
it's super rare that I don't tuck
I
things
do
in.
see what
I'm
you
just
mean
like,
about the like puckering. Oh, this is so soft.
it's so soft.
Wow.
I love this yarn. The other thing that's driving me crazy about this this particular sweater, and it's not the pattern, it's not the yarn, it's fully me, but because I blocked the body of the sweater to see about the length before I started on the sleeves, it's super subtle, but you can tell a little bit between like the top of the yoke that's been blocked and then the bottom of the sleeve that hasn't. And so I just keep staring at it to be like, does the sleeve look okay? Does that look all right? And I really think it's just like a difference of where the blocking versus non-blocking stitches are. But I can just tell that the sleeve looks a little bit different. And it kind of drives me insane. So I really need to just like power through and finish it so I can block the whole thing. And it'll be fine, but we're getting there. I think she's going to be really cute when she's finished. Oh my gosh, wait, are we at the exact same spot?
I think we are. I think we're at the exact same.
Oh.
Look at us.
Look at us.
We're like twinsies.
Wow. For some reason, I thought I was further than you, but we're literally in the exact
I
same
caught
spot.
up. I caught up. Yeah.
We'll talk about this next one that we have going together because we're in the exact same spot, which is super exciting. I don't know how that happened.
We really timed this well, actually.
We did. We have both officially cast on our Rosie sweaters by Lene.
They don't look like sweaters.
No, it's like a little, here's my sweater. Like a strip.
But Jessica was awesome and made the most adorable little swatch for it.
Look how cute this is. I am obsessed. I just think it's so cute. It's kind of wrinkly right now because it's been sitting in my knitting bag for a while, but yeah, she's going to be really cute.
I'm fully going on trust, but every time that we've had the same pattern or anything, we really find that our gauge is very similar. So once she said she got gauge, I was like, good, me too. We are both using the same yarn for this. So we're both using Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair, with the base color being the color Oatmeal. And then I don't have I've got contrast color. The contrast color is Bordeaux. And I'm excited that we're both going to have very matching sweaters. I just feel like these color combinations, I'll hold up, this one is so pretty. I'm really obsessed with this like maroon burgundy color right now. I have been for a while, so very excited about that color combination. And I'm not very far into it. You might have read the pattern more, but talking a little bit about the construction, you cast on at the back and work short rows to create a little bit of a shoulder slope, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And then you knit the body for a little bit, then put that on hold, pick up stitches for the collar. And then I believe what's going to happen is now that we've got like a little bit of a shoulder created, we're going to go back for a contiguous, I believe, construction where we're going to pick up along the shoulders to create a more in the round type of yoke. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. I obviously haven't gotten any further than you, but that's my understanding is that we'll start picking up and then, yeah, do increases along kind of the corners of where we picked up. So it'll feel kind of like a raglan, very similar to the Matcha jumper that I'm doing. But the increases for like the shoulder versus the sleeves are going to be a little bit different, or a different rate.
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm super excited about that construction because it means theoretically once we get to doing in the round, once we do the color work, it's going to be all in the round. And I thought this pattern was going to be very similar to the porcelain sweater by the same design, which is a drop shoulder that has color work in these like chunk motifs, very similar looking to what this pattern is. But with that one, you have to knit a portion of the back flat as you do the color work. And this one, I think the color work is all going to be in the round. So that's super nice. I'm really excited about that.
I just think this design is so pretty. And I feel like I've seen so many people cast it on recently. I'm just very excited. So we're trying to kind of stay at the same pace as each other. I don't think it's like a super solid rule that we're going by, but we're trying to like somewhat be the same. So,
and to be honest, it's probably going to be, I hate to say this is not like my first priority, but I think I want to prioritize my Christmas sweater. So I for sure get that done before the holidays. And then I'm so close to finishing my Matcha jumper. I'm like, okay, I need to just like finish that. So I feel like as far as sweaters go, this is kind of third in line. So this one's going to be like a slow, but a good one to savor. So I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. Not rushing, but it's nice to have it finally cast on.
Let me finish this row real quick on my socks, and then I will talk about them, but they will be fast.
Oh my gosh, you have so many works in progress right now.
I know.
have really slowed down on my knitting recently, unfortunately, because well, actually not I decided, our book club is rereading Twilight, and I am just like so hooked. I think I'm the only one in the books or in the book club that's reading all of them.
Yeah, we all agreed we would reread the first one and then we would watch. First, we decided we would watch the first movie together, but I think we're gonna try to like marathon it and just have like a whole day of watching all the
10 and a half
Twilight
hours
movies.
of Twilight.
Yeah, we need to figure that out like logistically.
But I finished the first book and I was immediately like, I have to finish all of them. So I just started Breaking Dawn this morning. It's only been a week and a half, but in a week and a half, I've read the first 3 books, and I'll finish Breaking Dawn, I think, by like today's Saturday. I think I'll finish it Tuesday or Wednesday. And I have somehow, in the span of a week and a half, redone my entire algorithm so that everything I see whenever I log on to anything is now Twilight. But people seem to like Midnight Sun, so I might have to read that too. I've never read that one, but the Twilight rereads have been fantastic. Recommend it. Don't think too deeply. Don't ask questions, but
I feel like every time I talk to you, you're like, I haven't been knitting, I've only been reading Twilight.
I normally, the only time that I don't knit normally is if we're traveling and there's like, stuff with that going on. Even on vacation, I'll knit. And so it's so rare for me to go even a day without picking up my needles. And I don't know, the Twilight books have just gripped me so hard. So I'm like, almost like now I have to finish it so I can go back to knitting, but that's fine.
Well, the last whip that I'll talk about is a pair of socks. So these are the Prato socks by In Her Skein. And this is actually a pattern that Marie, the designer, gifted to me, which was really sweet of her. She reached out, and because I knit another pattern by hers and really enjoyed it, she offered to give me another pattern just as like a thank you. So that was really, really sweet of her. And I'd been wanting to make these socks for quite a while. They did been on my list because I just think they're so beautiful, and that like the cuff is so intricate, but then the rest of it's stockinette, which is really nice. Like I feel like it's a perfect balance of having a little bit of interest, but they're still just like really simple and beautiful. And I really wanted something for this particular color that would like allow the color to shine, because this is a skein of classic sock by Coast to Coast from her latest collection. And this is called Is She a Witch? And I just thought it was the most perfect fall colorway.
I think it's very cute.
It's so cute. So this has just been my project that I've been working on. If I need to pick up something small, if I want to take something like in the car, or if I only have like a few minutes and I don't necessarily want to do like a row of color work on my Christmas sweater or something like that, it's easy to pick this up and just do a row or two. And so far all I've done is obviously the cuff and then the foot, and then I'm currently working on my heel flap. So you can kind of see I'm doing a slip stitch heel flap, and then here soon, hopefully I'll get to do my heel turn and pick up stitches for the gusset and all that fun stuff, but we're still working on her, but she's been fun. I love having a good pair of socks on my needles.
We'll go ahead and start on acquisitions, which we don't have a lot today, but we're super excited about what we do have. Geraldine from The Wandering Flock had reached out to us about using some more of her yarn. I think after I had shared working with this cardigan on the podcast previously. And so she reached out and offered us each a sweater quantity of her fluff base.
So soft.
It's so soft. The fluff, I keep flipping this upside down. The fluff is 35% baby Sari, 15% wool, and 50% cotton. And it's kind of I would describe it as like kind of a blown chainette yarn. Really, really pretty. And it just has this like beautiful halo throughout it, almost like, not mohair, but it just has that fluffy, fuzzy look that I really like.
Since this is a worsted to Aran weight, I started looking through my Ravelry of like patterns that I was interested in that way, and I ended up settling on the Bloom Pullover by Brianna Mason. So I think that's a sweater that I'm going to make with these two, and I'm super excited about it because it's not going to be like a Christmas sweater, but I feel like if I can get this done in December, maybe I feel like I could wear it for that occasion. If not, it'll just be like a general winter sweater, but I think it would be really pretty. So I'm super excited for that colorwork sweater. I've just been loving colorwork recently, and I think the halo on this is just gonna look really nice together. So I'm using the white colorway and then the spruce colorway, which I think will be really cute. I haven't swatched yet, but I'm very excited to do that. And then you're doing the Sailor's Scansy?
The Sailor's Scansy by Henne Rimmon. And this is in the colorway Sand, which was very similar to what I think the sample color was, or the designer's pick was. I really debated because I feel like Geraldine from Wandering Flock has such beautiful, incredible colors. And I was like, oh no, like, is this a waste to get a beige? But I just kept going back to that sweater and thinking about how beautiful it would be in this like yarn and the sand color. And I'm just super excited for it. I really debated because there were several patterns that I was thinking about with this yarn. The Key sweater by PetiteKnit really stood out to me because she's got this yarn in a like kind of that wine burgundy maroon color I'm again so drawn to. I thought would be really pretty with that, and then like maybe the white contrast color. I also thought about the Odelia sweater by Gregoria Fibers, and I think that I actually am going to work that into some plans coming up, but I just kept going back to the Henne Rimmon sweater, so that's what I ultimately decided on, but a lot of potential patterns for this yarn.
When she first reached out, I really debated possibly doing the Ogden by, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce this, but I believe the designer's name is Veta Romanikava. It's a designer, or it's a pattern that she did on behalf of Woolfolk that I've been eyeing forever, and it's so beautiful and has tons of cables, but I think ultimately I'm just feeling color work right now. Like I'm just really excited about color work, and I feel like if I'm in that mindset, I might as well just like ride that wave and continue doing that. And then I also debated if I wanted something that was just super cozy, kind of like a sweatshirt that I could wear at home every day, doing the Un sweater by November Knits. But once again, I'm just really excited about the color work right now, so that's why we went with the Bloom sweater. But I think either of those patterns would have been really beautiful too, and hopefully like in the near future, I'll be able to work those other ones in as plans, but not at the moment.
Our mom is also knitting with this yarn right now, which is just kind of a funny coincidence, but I think she's knitting the Sophie shawl or scarf in this yarn.
She's not doing, I thought she was doing a shawl by Andrew Mallory.
She wanted to, and then I think that she was just not loving is it a half fisherman's rib? I don't think she was enjoying having to pick up and knit into the stitch below. So I think she switched gears because of that. So, but it's kind of funny that our mom just happened to get the same yarn. We didn't really talk about it or anything, but we were like, oh, we're using the same, or we will be using the same yarn soon. So kind of fun. She's using the sky blue, which is the same color that I have on right now.
Is it really? Oh, you should steal it and wear it with my cardigan.
Watch out, Mom. I think that's all that we have to share today, but we are so appreciative if you've made it this far. We would absolutely love to hear what you're working on, if you've been inspired by seasonal knitting or Christmas sweaters or whatever it is that you have on your needles. We always enjoy hearing what others are working on, and we just appreciate you being here today.